We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Tesam and Beis Maseches Avodah Zarah. This is Avodah Zarah, Daf 49b. The Mishnah says, "Not al mimeno eitzim." If a person takes wood from the Asherah tree, asurin bahana, that wood is forbidden in any benefit. And the Mishnah continues, "Hisuk bo'enes hatanur." Let's say a person uses that wood in order to light a fire for an oven. Im chadash, if it's a new oven, and therefore you're essentially fashioning, hardening the oven, then yutatz, then that oven needs to be destroyed. Vim yashan, if it's an old oven, yutzan, then it's cooled off, and then you later light it if you want to use it to bake. Afa boes hapas, if he used that wood in order to bake bread, asura bahana, it is forbidden to get any benefit from that bread. Nesarva ba'cheros, if the bread got mixed with other bread, kulan asuras bahana, all of that bread is now forbidden bahana, you can't get any benefit from all of that bread. Rabbi Eliezer says, Yolech hana liyam hamelach, you just take the value of the wood that you used, and you throw that into the Yam hamelach, into the Dead Sea, and that is sufficient. You don't have to forbid all of the bread. Amru lo, they said to Rabbi Eliezer, Ein pidyon la'avodas kochavim, there is no redemption for avodas kochavim, and so you cannot employ that leniency. And the Mishnah continues, Not al heimena charkor, let's say a person takes from the Asherah tree a weaving tool, a weaving shuttle, and he's using it to weave, asr bahana, so it's forbidden to get any benefit from that tool. Arag boas habeged, if he does use that charkor in order to weave a garment, asr bahana, it's forbidden to get any benefit from the garment. And the Mishnah continues, Nesarif ba'acherim, let's say the garment gets mixed up with other garments, va'acherim ba'acherim, and those get mixed up with others, kulan asur ba'ana, everything is asur ba'ana. And again, Rabbi Eliezer says, Yolech hana liyam hamelech, you just take the value of the hana to the Yam hamelech. Amrulo, they said to Rabbi Eliezer, Ein pidyon la'avodas kochavim, there is no redemption for avodah zarah. And the Gemara says, Utzrich, it's necessary to teach both cases in the Mishnah. It's the exact same machlokas tanoim between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Eliezer in terms of whether Yolech hana liyam hamelech. So the Gemara essentially is asking, why do we need the case of the oven and also the case of the charkor? And the Gemara says, D'yashminan kamais, if we only had that first case where again you use the wood to bake bread, so b'haka amar Rabbi Eliezer, there Rabbi Eliezer is lenient, mishum devoidna deka gamra pas, because at the time that the bread is finished, kali lo yisura, all of the isur is also burned, it's all destroyed, all of that wood has been burned. Aval charkor, but when it comes to the weaving tool, the isi l'isura be'ene, that the prohibited item is still right in front of us, so ema modi l'rabbanan, so I might say that Rabbi Eliezer admits to the Rabbanan that you have to be strict, you can't employ the leniency of Yolech hana liyam hamelach. V'yashmin and charkor, if we just have the case of the charkor, of the weaving tool, b'ha kamri Rabbanan, there the Rabbanan are strict, because it's right in front of us. Aval pas ema modu leil Rabbi Eliezer, but when it comes to the case of the bread, I might say that they admit to Rabbi Eliezer that we can be lenient. So tzricha, that's why it's necessary to teach both cases. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Chia Berei de Rabba bar Nachmeni, Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Zeiri. Rav Chia, the son of Rabba bar Nachmeni, says that Rav Chisda says that Zeiri says, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer, the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, we can be lenient. Yolech hana liyam hamelach. Ika de Amri, there are those that have the following version. Amar Rav Chisda said, Amar li Abba bar Rav Chisda said to me, Hachi Amar Zeiri, this is what Zeiri said, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer, that the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Amar Ravada bar Rava says, Lo shanu ela pas, this is only true by bread. Avol chavis lo, but let's say it would be a barrel, so then no, we wouldn't be lenient in that situation. Rav Chisda Amar afilu chavis mutaris, and Rav Chisda says even by a barrel of wine, it's mutter, we would say that it is permitted. The case over here is, let's say you have a situation of a barrel of yayin nesach, it gets mixed up with a lot of other wine, so can we be lenient like Rabbi Eliezer of Yolech hana liyam hamelech, or do we say that all the barrels of wine are prohibited? And so again, Rav Ada bar Rav is saying that you have to be strict when it comes to yayin nesach, that's right in front of us. And Rav Chisda says, no, even chavis, even over there, we can be lenient. And the Gemara says, there was a case like this. There was a person that his barrel of wine got mixed up with a barrel of wine of yayin nesach. Also, Lakami, the Rav Chisda, he came before Rav Chisda, his barrels, they all got mixed up with a barrel of yayin nesach. He came before Rav Chisda, Amar, and so Rav Chisda said, Shkol arba zuzay, take 4 zuz, v'shadi benara, just throw that 4 zuz in the river, v'nishtari loch, and then it will be permitted for you. We are allowed to rely on this leniency by barrels of wine as well. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Ketzad mevatla, how is an Asherah tree nullified? Kirsem vizired, let's say the non-Jew, he trims the tree, or let's say he prunes the tree. Natal mimena makel, he takes from the tree a staff, or sharvit, or a rod, afilu all, or even a leaf, hareza betela, that's considered nullified. Shifa litzarcha, let's say he shaves down the tree for its need to beautify it, asura, then it's forbidden. Shalol litzarcha, but if it's not for the tree, mutares, then it is permitted. And Rashi explains, Ketzad mevatel asherah, how does one nullify the asherah tree? Kirsem is kisman yevation, that's if he takes dry wood, dry wood chips, shaba'ilan of the tree, not a litzarcho lisra, if he takes it for his need, he wants to use it to burn. And zered is zerudin lachen shaba, that's when he's pruning, that's the branches that are moist. Litzarcha again is liafosa, to beautify it. So again, if he takes from the tree for his own use for these various reasons, that's considered a nullification of the asherah tree by the Gentile. And the Gemara says, Osan shafoin, those shavings in the case where he shaved the tree, litzarcha, to beautify the tree, and the tree is not batel, so what's the status of the shavings? Matei alei, and what is their status? Pligi bar Rav Huna v'chia bar Rav, that's a machlokas between Rav Huna and Chia bar Rav. Chad amar asur, and one says that they are prohibited, v'chad amar mutar, and one says they are permitted. The Gemara says, Tanya command amar mutar, and we have a brisa that says like the one who says that they are permitted. The Tanya has been learned in a brisa, Ovid kochavim shashifa avodas kochavim litzarcho, if an Ovid kochavim shaves down the avodah zarah for his need, so he ushvo'em mutarin, so there the tree and the shavings, it's all mutar, it's permitted, that's a nullification of the avodah zarah. But litzarcha, but if it's for the need of the tree, to beautify the tree, he asura, so then the tree is prohibited, ushvo'em mutarin, but the shavings are permitted. V'Yisrael shashifa avodas kochav. Now, if a Jew is the one that shaved down the avodah zarah, then it doesn't matter. Bein l'tzarcha, whether it's for the need of the tree, whether it's for his own need, he ushva asurin, the tree and the shavings are prohibited. And the Gemara continues. Itmar was stated the following: Machlokas amoroim avodas kochav shenishtabra. The Bach says shenishtabra meileo. If you have an avodah zarah that broke on its own, Rav amar tzarich levatel kol kesam v'kesam. Rav says that every little piece of wood, it needs its own nullification. Ushmuel amar, and Shmuel says avodas kochavim eina betela ela derech gedei lasa. The only way that avodah zarah is batel, the only way it's nullified, is if it breaks in the normal fashion. For example, the leaves falling off the asherah tree. The Gemara says adrab, on the contrary, that doesn't make any sense. Derech gedei lasa mi mevatel, if it falls in the normal way, like the leaves falling off a tree, does that nullify? On the contrary, that should be less reason for nullification. So ela rather hachikamar, this is what Shmuel was saying. Ein avodas kochavim tzricha levatel, you don't need to be mevatel avodah zarah ela derech gedei lasa, unless the way that it broke was in the normal fashion. Again, let's say the leaves just fell off the asherah tree, so that is not an automatic bittul. You're going to need to go ahead and actively be mevatel in that case. But otherwise, in all other situations, if it's not derech gedei lasa, if it breaks on its own, so then it's automatically batel. And the Gemara continues and says, Leima b'ha kamiflagi, let us say that they're arguing in the following: Demar savar ovdin l'shvar, and that Rav holds that they worship even the broken pieces of wood, that's why you need to be mevatel every single piece of wood. Umar savar, and Shmuel holds ein ovdin l'shvar, and that they're not going to worship broken pieces of wood, and therefore essentially they are automatically batel. And the Gemara says, Lo no, dekuli alma ovdin l'shvar, and it could be everybody agrees that they would worship the broken pieces. V'hacha b'shivrei shvarim kamiflagi. Here they're arguing when the broken pieces, they go ahead and they break even further. You have shivrei shvarim. Mar savar shivrei shvarim asur, and one holds the broken pieces of the broken pieces are forbidden. That's Rav's opinion. Umar savar shivrei shvarim mutar, and the other one holds that the broken pieces of the broken pieces are mutar. That's the opinion of Shmuel. V'bay Semen, if you want, I could say the kuli alma shivrei shvarim mutar, and everybody agrees that if it's broken pieces of the broken pieces, that it's actually mutar. V'hacha ba'avodas kocham shel chulias. Here we're talking where the avodah zarah was put together of different pieces, and then those pieces they break apart. Uvehedyot sheyachol l'achzira, and a regular person would be able to easily reassemble this avodah zarah. Kamiflagi, that's the machlokas. Mar savar, one holds kevan dehedyot yachol l'achzira. This is Rav. Since a regular person can just return it, can reassemble it, lo betela, so it's not nullified. Umar savar, and Shmuel holds ein avodas kochavim betela ela gederech gedei lasa. The avodah zarah, it only needs bittul if it breaks in the normal fashion, the leaves falling from the tree, but otherwise it does not require any further bittul. It is automatically permitted. Dahainu urche, because again, if it's derech gedei lasa, so that's normal, that's not considered really breaking. Halav gedei lasahi, but again, if it's not in the normal way, like in this situation where you have an avodah zarah of different parts that are put together, even though it's easy to reassemble, but the way it came apart is not derech gedei lasa, and therefore ve'in tzricha levatel, therefore it's not necessary to do any further bittul. Hadron aloch kol hatzlamim, we'll return to you parak kol hatzlamim. This is the end of the third parak of Maseches Avodah Zarah. If you're enjoying these videos and this channel, please like, share, and subscribe, and take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. And we will now begin the fourth parak of Maseches Avodah Zarah. And the Mishnah says, Rabbi Yishmael Omer, Rabbi Yishmael says, Shalosh avonim zu b'tzad markulis. If you have three stones, one next to the other, next to the avodah zarah markulis, the avodah zarah mercury, asuros, those are prohibited. Ushtayim mutaros, but if there are two stones, they're permitted. V'chachamim Omer, the Chachamim say, sheniros imo asuros. If they appear with it, then they are forbidden. V'she'ein niros imo, but if they don't appear with it, mutaros, then they are permitted. And Rashi explains, Rabbi Yishmael zu b'tzad zu, again, three stones, one next to the other. V'kol shekein achas al gabi shtayim. Rashi says, for sure, let's say you'd have one stone on top of two stones, that would for sure be prohibited. Tezeu ikar markulis utchilaso, that actually is the main markulis avodah zarah, that's how it's made. B'tzad markulis, and now again, these stones are at the side of markulis. Markulis godol shekvar avdu, this is a large statue, markulis, that was already served. V'zarku olav avonim harbe, and they throw upon it many stones, and so again, the case over here is, as you have these three stones, one next to the other, Rabbi Yishmael says they are prohibited, and if there are two of them, then they're mutter. And the Chachamim made this distinction between sheniros imo and she'ein niros imo. And Rashi continues, shtayim mutaros, again, according to Rabbi Yishmael, if there are two, it's permitted. Uvegamar mefarish shtayim, but the Gemara is going to explain the reason. Sheniros imo, the Chachamim say, if it's niros imo, which means the nira shenaflu misham, that it seems that they fell from markulis, then asuros, then they're prohibited. Bein gimel, bein shtayim, whether it's three or two, it doesn't matter the number, it just matters how it looks. Does it look like it came from the markulis? V'she'ein nira imo, but if it doesn't appear with it, meaning ein smuchos lo, it's not near it, mutaris, then it's permitted. V'afilu gimel, even if there are three of them. And so again, Rabbi Yishmael makes this distinction between three stones and two stones, whereas the Chachamim say it's all dependent on niros imo or ein niros imo. And the Gemara says, Bishlama Rabbanan. Now I understand the Rabbanan. Kasavri Ovdin Lishvarim. They hold that in general the Ovdei Kochavim would worship the broken pieces. And so Niros Imo, the Ikalamemra Mine Nafal. So if it appears with the idol, it's near the idol, we could say it fell from it. Asuros, then they're prohibited. She'ein Niros Imo, but if it's not Niros Imo, so then Mutaros, then they are permitted. Rashi explains, Ovdin l'shvarim, they worship the broken pieces. Kol ha'avonim hanizrakos sham. The point over here is all the stones that are thrown on the markulis, nitosvu al ha'markulis, they become added on to the markulis. V'nasa godol avodas kochavim, it just becomes a larger avodah zarah. Ukashay noshros have a shivrei avodas kochavim, and then let's say they come off, they roll off, that's like broken avodah zarah. V'hashta lo chashav lu tekrovis. Now right now we're not considering them offerings, ela avodas kochavim b'fnei atzma, but they're actually considered to be their own avodah zarah. And so the Rabbanan essentially say these are all considered to be avodah zarah, and they're shivrei avodah zarah when they come off of the statue. And so therefore, again, if it's niros imo, if it seems like it fell from the statue, it's usur. Otherwise, it's mutter. We understand the Rabbanan. But the Gemara continues, Ela Rabbi Yishmael, but Rabbi Yishmael, my kosavar, what exactly does Rabbi Yishmael hold? He ovdin l'shvarm, if he holds that they worship the shvarm, they worship the broken pieces, afilu tarti nami litzra, so then even two of them should be prohibited. And he ain't ovdin l'shvarm, if they don't worship the broken pieces, afilu tzlas nami lo, even if there are three pieces, it should not be a problem. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef, Amar Rav Yochanan. Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef says, that Rav Yochanan says, B'yodua shenashru mimenu divrei hakol asuros. Actually, if it's known that they came from the Markulis statue, everybody agrees that they're prohibited. V'afilu laman damar ein ovdin l'shvarim. And even according to the one who says that normally they don't worship broken pieces, hani mili avodas kocham delav hainu orche. That's true by an avodah zarah, where that's not the normal way of serving it. Aval hacha, but over here, demei kara tavurei mitveri. Here, from the beginning already, these are broken stones. So hainu orche, that's a normal thing to worship them. Rashi explains, mei kara tavurei mitveri she'enon mechubaros. These stones were not attached to the idol. V'darkon lipo, it's normal that they would fall, and so everybody agrees that if you knew they came from the idol, everybody agrees that they would be prohibited. Ki pligi, what is the machlokas between Rabbi Yishmael and the Chachamim? Bistam, it's talking about a situation where it is not clear where they came from, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Nun Amud Aleph.